About 6 months ago, I started the hunt for a new engine for my Grand National. Astra Roof has a cracked block, so I needed to find a new short block that I can use and build it up. After months of not being able to find anything, I finally found a 109 block that just needed refreshing. So I bought it, took it apart, and found the worst. I was bummed at first, but the extras paid for everything. I now have a hot air intake that I can gut, an extra cam sensor that I could save, and heads that I can rework if needed. But I was still on the hunt for a short block until I found the holy grail of Grand National engines. Has an asterisk by it though. What I found were three 3.8 engines. These are VIN A engines, blocks that were not meant for turbocharging, but will work just for us. They're more than known and capable to run 400 to 500 horsepower, and that's going to be plenty for what I have planned for them. So you're seeing 1 out of the 3 here. Let's unravel it and dive in. So VIN A blocks are just a little bit different than the Turbo Regal engines. So we're gonna have to do some wrenching, but it's no problem. And because it's harder to find some of these turbo blocks, this is a great alternative for what you're trying to do if you need to rebuild your engine too. So first things first, in order to get at the cam, I need to relieve the pressure off of the entire valve train, which is starting at the rockers. So removing the 3 bolts across from each side will get my rockers up, and then I can remove my push rods. From there are lifters that are contacting the block. They are flat tappets. So we can maybe rotate the cam and get those starting to pop up, and then we can pull them out the rest of the way. I'm really curious to see how this engine is held up over time. You know, I believe they were built in 1990, so 30 years of just sitting isn't good for anything. I'm hoping that the assembly lube that they used was able to stand the test of time. We'll need to swap out the front cover because there is an access hole here that's not on our Turbo Regal cars. I believe there is a block off plate that you can use, but I need to get at the cam because I got some goodies that I want to install too. Before I start to rotate the crankshaft, we need to analyze a couple of things. Here's the inside of the front cover. Looks just as how you would expect it. Hardened grease, you know, where the button was. The button looks good. All the valve train looks good as well. But I need to take a look at the cylinder walls and see what we're looking at there. So instead of taking the heads off, I'm going to fire up my camera and inspect. This camera is really convenient about getting into the space and seeing what's to it. And looking at the inside of the cylinder walls, there's cross-hatching, there's no rust, everything looks in great condition, and all 6 cylinders look the same. So with that, we can jump on to the next thing. As you can see here, the larger gear is made out of plastic, and we want to get rid of that and move to an all-metal setup. Now, double roller timing chains are meant for high horsepower applications. Because we're not going all out on this engine, I'm going to stick to an all-metal single roller chain. Now, let me show you what I've got that's going to go into this motor. Starting off, this is Edelbrock's 5487 kit. It gives me this 204-214 cam with 112 degrees lobe separation angle. Also comes with 12 lifters. These are flat tappets. I'm not gonna go with roller lifters because I don't wanna have to drill and tap my block. Separately, I bought ARP head studs. Got a new oil pickup tube. Over on this side, like I said earlier, I do have an all metal setup for the timing gears. Got some gaskets and grommets that I'll need, new spark plugs, new fuel filter, synthetic assembly lube, and all of this are the things that I just took off of the engine. You'll see here I got some more gaskets, and that should be everything I need to get everything back in the car. I'm thinking about reusing the cam button, but I have a new one in case I need it. So let's tear this engine down and get the old camshaft out, get everything new in. All right, so I got that stuck lifter out, and look here. This looks a little funky. And there's a little bit of rust on the bottom of it too. So it looks a little weird, but in the whole, everything looks good. It feels good. So I'm gonna run it. Glad I took this out. I don't think this would have affected its running ability, but it'll feel much better to me to replace that with the ones that come in the Edelbrock kit. Engine assembly lube smells like baby wipes. With the timing gear set, I'm turning attention to some of the ancillary parts like my timing gear cover and my oil pan. Now, if you remember the 109 block episodes, this is the timing cover from that, and I've compared part numbers between what came on this new engine with the 109 block, and the timing cover part numbers do match. So I'm good there. The only difference is that cover. So instead, I was going to use this cover, but why not use what's brand new? And then I'll just switch the cover over from here to right there. So then the timing cover is taken care of. The oil pan, it is a 20-bolt block, and perfect, I have a 20-bolt oil pan. Now I'm really happy that I ended up getting that bum engine because that has a 14-bolt oil pan. So that wouldn't work for me. I would have to go out and get another oil pan anyway, and I don't want to have to do that. So I'm glad I have everything I need right here. Also, I know I'm going to need to take apart the oil pump, pack it, and then put it back together. I think somebody said not to use Vaseline, to use something else instead. So I need to do some research. I need to find out what that is and get at that right now. So let's move the parts over from here to here. I'll clean it up as well. We will break out our oil pan gasket set, pop that on, and then we'll get that and that on. I got my lifters soaking. I've got my oil pan bolts here and ready to roll. And I'm going to use the cam button. I'll compare the cam button that's on here versus the new one that I bought, see if it's a new improved part, and just go from there.
Not really.
So after a couple of coats of high temp paint, this is what we're left with. It's looking really, really good. So I want to go over a couple of quick things before I end this week's episode. Now, off camera, I did take off all of the main and rod caps. Everything looks great and brand new, just what you would expect in a rebuilt engine. I did not take the heads off because I did not want to go through another set of head bolts. The camera was good enough for me. I think everything looks great inside and shouldn't have any problems with running it. Now, what I want to do after this engine is in is incrementally make improvements and then take it back to the dyno to see what type of power that these changes are resulting in. So for this stage, we're going to have that 204, 214 cam. We're going to have a torque converter install. I'm going to get that PTC one from Rafi at GN1 Performance. And then all of the other mods that you already know come on the car. TA33, hot wire kit, 60-pound injectors, things of that nature. I'll leave it in the description below. And then once we see what numbers are getting on this baseline, then we can port and polish heads, port and polish and remove ribs in the intake, all of that stuff, and then dyno it again, see what type of boost and what kind of numbers you should expect as you're turning up the boost and doing all of these upgrades on your own cars. I think it's something that's missing. You know, all of our recipes seem to be kind of antiquated. So I'm looking at a lot of the hot air guys that are, you know, pushing the envelope, investing in Holly and things of that nature. And I feel like this is something that I can do, you know, while I have the extra time and energy to do it, I might as well help out. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks.